It was a solemn day in a courtroom thick with emotion and haunted by memory. A chapter came to a close, but not the pain, when Bryan Kohberger, a man who stole the lives of 4 young university students in the dead of night, was sentenced to life in prison. Life, without the possibility of parole. A judgment not just handed down by a court of law, but echoed in the hearts of the families, friends, and a wounded community still reeling from the weight of his actions. The air was heavy with silence, broken only by the trembling voices of those who stood bravely before him, those who lost everything. They did not stand as victims but as warriors of memory. They came not only to seek justice, but to declare that the lives lost would not be reduced to case numbers or tabloid headlines. Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, these were not just names. They were light, laughter, dreams. They were daughters, sons, sisters, brothers, best friends. And on that day in court, they were present, etched into every word spoken in their name. Olivia Goncalves took the stand with a fire that had been smoldering for years. Her voice cut through the courtroom like truth through silence. "You're a textbook case of insecurity disguised as control," she said, her eyes locked on the man who shattered her world. There was no shaking in her voice. Only fury, sharpened by grief. "Your patterns are predictable, your motives are shallow." These were not lines rehearsed, not barbs of vengeance. These were the raw syllables of a sister robbed. "You are not profound, you are pathetic," she declared. And the courtroom listened, not just with ears, but with hearts clenched tight. "You aren't special or deep, not mysterious or exceptional. Don't ever get it twisted again." It wasn't just a statement. It was a reckoning. From every corner of the courtroom, pain took form, fathers, mothers, siblings, lovers, each stepping forward into the burden of remembrance. They shared stories, but more than that, they shared futures that would never be. Birthdays that would go uncelebrated. Seats that would remain empty at weddings. Texts that would never be returned. Laughter that would echo only in memories. They spoke of the silence in the bedrooms, the stillness in once vibrant halls, and the ache that no sentence, no matter how severe, could ever truly quiet. And yet, they stood. In honor, not hatred. In love, not just loss. Each word was a tribute, each tear a vow that these young lives would never fade into darkness. Xana's family spoke of her spark, her kindness, her fierce love for her friends. Madison's loved ones recalled her energy, the way she could light up a room just by walking into it. Ethan's parents, strong in their sorrow, talked of his charisma and warmth. Kaylee's father, voice cracking, told the court how he still listens for her voice in the halls. Then came the moment that everyone waited for, the opportunity for Kohberger to speak. To explain. To apologize. To show remorse. He sat still, cold, silent. "I respectfully decline," he said, offering not an ounce of reflection. No remorse. No regret. Just vacancy. As if the depth of suffering in the room had no place in his world. As if the lives he stole did not echo in his conscience. But that silence did not go unanswered. The courtroom was filled with voices louder than his denial, stronger than his silence. They told him who he truly was, not the shadowy figure he imagined himself to be, not the clever manipulator or mysterious thinker he fancied in his own mind, but a coward. A thief of dreams. A man defined not by intelligence, but by destruction. Not by mystery, but by mediocrity. The judge, carrying the weight of the community's outrage and anguish, delivered the sentence with the gravity it demanded. Life. Not 1, but 4. For every future stolen, a life behind bars. There would be no escape, no parole, no redemption in the eyes of the law. But even then, the sentence was only partial justice. Because what could ever truly compensate for what was taken? What punishment could ever bring back the early mornings filled with college laughter, the graduation caps waiting to be tossed, the dreams nurtured in the quiet hours of a student's life? No sentence could do that. Still, the families pressed forward, not with vengeance, but with resilience. They spoke of healing, of building new ways to honor the lives that were lost. Scholarships, memorials, community vigils, acts of hope carved from grief. They would not let Kohberger be the last chapter in their children's story. They would not let him define their legacy. They reminded the world that behind every headline is a heartbeat. Behind every courtroom image is a family trying to rebuild. Behind every victim's name is a galaxy of memories, ones that shine brighter than the darkness left behind. And though the man who took their children's lives will now live out his days behind concrete and bars, it is not him the world will remember. It is Madison's laugh, Xana's courage, Ethan's kindness, and Kaylee's unstoppable energy. Bryan Kohberger's name may sit in court records, but it is the names of the 4 students, 4 lights extinguished too soon, that will live in every prayer, every march, every moment of silence held in their honor. They are not forgotten. They never will be. And for every day that Kohberger sits in silence in a cell that he will never leave, the world outside will speak the names of those he tried to erase. Not in sorrow, but in defiance. Not in despair, but in remembrance. Because love will always outlive hate. And truth will always speak louder than silence.